Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about another Junk Wax set. That's the 1991 Topps set. We're going to talk about its errors too. We're also talking about a relationship we have with Grunt Baseball. That's my buddy's YouTube channel for all things baseball, up-to-date short clips. Also, he has a website, grunttalksmlb.com. Check this out when you get a chance. If you're not already a subscriber to my channel, go down and hit that subscribe button right now. Do it while you're thinking about it. Specialize in mainly errors. Got some other funny stuff on here too. Thank you. Let's get started. So Topps debuted 40 years prior to this in 1951. And this year, Topps proudly put that 40th anniversary stamp on the top corner of each card. So last year, they put bubblegum in packs. Last year, they used that boring brown cardstock. They went to a white cardstock, of course. It's also the last year that they used like the traditional wax paper wax packs. They went to like a cellophane. There's a ton of variations in this set. Too many to list. If you're chasing a complete master set, you'll need to know about these. The first one is the large Topps logo on the back of each card. It can be light or it can be dark, and I'll throw you like a comparison of that. The light ones are more common. The logo darkness corresponds to what sheet they're printed on. I won't go into detail of each one, but there's about 255 cards that can be found with both types of logo. The dark or the bold back of cards are not found on any manager, all-star, record breaker, first round draft pick, or checklist for some reason. And every sheet has the sheet numbers on the bottom next to the copyright. It'll say like A asterisk, B asterisk, or it might say A asterisk, B asterisk. Actually have both of them on there, and a few other letters too, so you can kind of see what sheet they're coming from. Each card in the set can be found with a regular standard back or a glow back that actually glows when held under a black light. I don't know why Topps did this. Maybe they had ink from another vendor that they switched over mid-production. I don't know. I might do a video just on glow backs. That's kind of a fascinating thing. Sadly, all these variations don't command hardly any value, even though the glow backs are more rare. PSA and Beckett, etc., don't take the time to recognize the different variations. Diehard set collectors need to know the differences, but with the complete set being worth well under 20 bucks, only build a master set if you're bored. And single. Okay, if you're gonna go down that rabbit hole, tie a rope around your waist, because it's a lot of undertaking to build that master set. So there's one more thing going on with this set that some collectors have found. Some backs of the 91 Topps are actually missing that 40th logo altogether. I'll put up a picture of that. So instead, they have a stat box look to it. Looks like a big pink T. That's actually the same type of back that a manager's card would have. And they put it on regular cards. So those are very rare. No one has really assigned a value to them. I'd love to see if I can grab one for myself. The thing is, you have to go through the commons bins to look for these, because I don't think most eBay sellers even know that this type of variation exists. So if you have a card without the 40th logo on the back, hang on to it. That's a pretty cool card. So there's 792 cards in the set, released in one series. So number 21, Joe Morgan. This is an error card. Wade Boggs hit 87 hits. It was corrected to 187, so they tried to shorten by 100 hits. They did correct that one though. Number 22, Storm Davis. This is a variation where it could be missing the R copyright in the top border. The corrected is quite a bit more rare that I've noticed. Number 26, Luis Soho. This is an uncorrected error. Should be born in Caracas. Chris Hoyles, number 42. Also a variation where the inset border can either be white or black. I'm going to show you both of those so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. That white inset box kind of corresponds to the color of their team. And this one you can get white or black. Oil Can Boyd, Dennis Boyd, number 48. So there's multiple variations of this card showing the anniversary logo covering his left wrist. I'll show you two of them, but I want to be clear that there are reported to be several, so 3 or more different variations. So it can be covering his hand, or his hand could be covering part of the logo in the top corner there. Pat Borders, number 49. This is an error. So in his 86 Kinston stats, it shows 40 stolen bases. Poor guy should be 0. He's still a single base there. Mike Sharperson, number 43, uncorrected error, date of birth. And his home is also incorrect. It should be GA for Georgia, not CA for California. Big difference there. Number 80, Fernando Valenzuela. Mexican pitcher. This is an error. He led in 86 for complete games, but it wasn't italicized. And he tied for earned runs in 90, but it should be that he led. So 2 different errors. They did correct those both. Number 97, Brady Anderson. Monthly scoreboard at the bottom says he had 3 hits and 2 RBIs. Well, they shorted him. It should be 14 hits and 3 RBIs. And number 100, Donnie Baseball. Cool guy, has a problem with the stats going on. This was an error that was corrected. Said he had 10 hits for 1990, and then it shows it as career hits and career slugging. All 3 of those were incorrect. They came back and corrected those. He should have 101 hits that year. That sounds more like Donnie Baseball to me. Checklist number 131. This is the 1 of 6 checklists where it has Phil Bradley listed as number 727. It should be 717. That's kind of a common theme. You're going to see that in a couple of checklist problems. They did come back and correct that. 148, Ray Palacio, uncorrected error. It says his batting average is .91. It should be .091. It would not be .91. That means he got hit almost every single time. That was incorrect. Number 149, Al Osuna. He bats left and throws right, but they got that opposite. Dwight Evans, 155. There's an error on this one where it says he had 162 games led in the National League, but it should be tied, not led. Okay, they did come back and correct that. 157, John Smoltz, Hall of Fame pitcher. This is an uncorrected error. It says he was signed as a free agent, but it's not correct. He was drafted in the 22nd round. Dave Johnson, 163, uncorrected error. In 85, it says his Nashua games should be, it says that they're 18, but it should be 34. Number 167, Randy Tomlin. There's an error on this one. On the back, it said he played for Harryburg. They left the S out. It should be Harrisburg. They did come back and correct that. Steve Finley, 212, date of birth wrong, uncorrected. Steve Avery, 227, uncorrected as well. In 1989, Durham says he played 2 games. It should be 13. Okay, that's a big difference. Frank Tanana, 236. So this is an error. In 1975, he should be the leader in strikeouts, but it says that he tied. Okay, they did correct that one. Dave Clark, number 241. Uncorrected error. Totals for triples, homers, and slugging is wrong. Should be 322 and 386 respectively. They got all those wrong. Mark McGuire, Big Mac, number 270. There's an error on this one where it says his 1987 slugging should be .618, okay? But they have it as 618, so they just left out the decimal. They did see fit to come back and correct that. You can get it with or without. 277, here's a variation for Scott Coolbaugh. There's a pink streak on his hat. So that is something that is kind of an error, but it's more of a variation. They did come back and correct that where it doesn't have that pink streak. I noticed that the pink streak was much more common than the corrected one on that. Alex Fernandez, number 278, uncorrected error. The 1990 White Sox stat line is missing. 279, Jose Gonzalez. There's an error where the photo is actually Bill Bean. If you see him batting lefty, that's the wrong one. That is Bill Bean. They did come back and correct that with the correct Jose Gonzalez. Please stand up on the card. Lonnie Smith, 306. There's an error where it says he played 136 games in 1990, 1270 in career. It should be 135 and 1269. So just a couple numbers wrong they got there, but they did come back and correct that. 324, Ron Kittle. It says, this is an error. They did correct this one. It says he hit 6 home runs and set another standard in the narrative down below, but it's wrong. It should be 7 home runs, and he tied another standard. Okay, so 2 different errors there. They did correct that one. Ken Patterson, 326. The trademark on the front is printed at the top of the White Sox banner, or it could be in the middle. So if you look at next to the word White Sox, you'll see a little trademark. It could be at either level. I'll show you a screenshot of that one so you kind of know what's going on. That's considered a variation, not necessarily considered an error. 329, Dave Justice. Man, I thought this guy was awesome. Says he was a 3rd round draft pick. He was a 4th round draft pick. They did not correct that. Keith Comstock, 337. Now, this is the coolest error in the set, probably. It's definitely one that I remember finding a long time ago. So you can see right away there's something going on with this card. They put the wrong team. It says Cubs, but it should be Mariners. Okay, so they did correct that, as you can see. Checklist number 366 shows Carl Nichols as number 19. It should be 119. 378 Wilson Alvarez, and they did correct that checklist. Here's another error they did correct. Wilson Alvarez and 89 Port Charlotte and 89 Birmingham stat lines are missing. They did come back and correct those and added those 2 lines. Sammy Sosa date of birth, number 414. That was uncorrected. Not worth a ton of money. Ignore what you see on eBay. Ken Apier, number 454. There's an error where the 1990 Omaha stat line is missing. They did come back and correct that and added that line. Robin Ventura, 461. The mistake is he charged the mound on Nolan Ryan. Just kidding. There's a mistake on the card where the left inside border is black and was corrected to red. So this is weird because that line right there is black and it should be red, and it's red all the way around except for that one. So they did come back and correct that for Robin Ventura. The next one is 526 Moises Alou. There's an error on this card where it says he had 37 runs in 1990 for the Pirates. Wow, he only played 2 games for the Pirates that year. That's an incredible amount of runs. Well, that's obviously not correct. It should be 0. And then it also says he has 41 runs for the career, but he only had 4. So they got both those wrong. They did correct that. 527 is another checklist. Kevin McReynolds is listed as 719, and Keith Miller is listed as 105. They just got the numbers switched. 535, Ruben Sierra. This is an uncorrected error. We're on the back. They misspelled the word and. Okay. Okay. A-N-D. It says A-M-D on the back. They did not catch that for some reason and correct it. 573, Rich Rodriguez, also uncorrected. The bio says that he was drafted in the 4th round, but it should be the 9th round, and it says that in the stats. So kind of weird there. They did not catch that one. Jose Offerman, 587, also uncorrected. The text below states that he signed in 1988, but it should be 1986. So wrong year. Mark Whiten, number 588. Okay, this one is cool. If you have this one, you got some money. On Mark's card here, this is considered a variation where his hand can exceed past the border line and kind of stick out. I'm showing you both here. The one where it extends beyond the border is a lot more valuable. Now, neither one of those are an error, but this particular card you can get with or without going past that border. And if it goes outside the border, you got the good one. 593, Mike Walker. This is an error where the 1990 Canton Akron stat line is missing. They did come back and correct that. 599, Greg Myers. The 1990 Syracuse stat line is missing. They did come back and correct that one. Number 603, Wes Chamberlain. There's an error. Okay, take a look here. So the guy with the bat on his shoulder is not Wes Chamberlain. That is Louis Meadows. They did come back and correct that, as you can see here. Neither one of them really worth anything, but kind of a cool one. I love it when they do that. 615, Burt Blyleven, Hall of Fame pitcher. There's a variation where the major league at the very bottom of the stats can be a really large font for some reason. I found that the one with the large font is a lot more rare, but both can be picked up for next to nothing on eBay. I'll show you a side-by-side of that one. Card number 656, checklist. This is the 5 of 6 checklist. There's an error where they have Palacios, Lind, and Leland, and Lavalier. So there's 4 different players where they have the wrong numbers on them. They came back and corrected it and gave them the wrong numbers again. And then they came back and corrected it with the correct numbers. There's 3 different variations of the same checklist. Kind of ridiculous. You can pick them up for cheap. Lee Smith, 660, another Hall of Fame pitcher. Career innings pitch says 919.1. It should be 918.2. Okay, big whoop. But they did not catch that and did not correct that. 673, Greg Olson, uncorrected error. RBIs on all of the 1982 to 1988 stat lines are wrong. They actually mirror what the home runs were for some reason. I'm not sure what they were doing there. And they did not catch that and they did not correct it. 674, Kevin Gross. Now on the back under his 1989 stats, it says that he tied for the league leader. It's actually, he did lead. The Tops did that a lot where if they were the leader, it'd be italicized on the stats. And if they tied, it'd be italicized a little diamond after it. Well, they got it wrong on that one. They got it wrong on several of them, actually. Moving on here, John Cerruti, 687. His 1990 ERA is 4.46. It should be 4.76. So they made a mistake in his favor, but they did come back and correct that. Efrain Valdez, 692. There's no lines of text under the stat, but they did come back and add that 2 lines. So that can be considered a variation, not really an error. 706, Brad Arnsberg. There's an error where the stats show 68.2 innings pitched in 90 and career, but it's wrong. It should be 62.2, and some of the career stats they did come back incorrect. So get it with or without the mistake. Not really any value either way. Paul Maroc, 753, uncorrected error, says that he was drafted in May. It should be January, which is really interesting because in the bio up above, it actually says he was drafted in January. 771, Gary Redus is an uncorrected error. Birthplace wrong. Kent Merker, also birthplace wrong, 772. And number 780, Randy Myers, it says he has 15 total losses. It should be 19 total losses, though. That was an error that they did come back and correct. And that is it. There's a lot of errors in this set. A lot of cool stuff going on with it. This was a fun video to make. If you're not already a subscriber, go hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.